Don't be afraid to get close to the mic. Sweet spot's right there on the top. Have fun.
Yep, thank you.
Have fun. What? Hurry up. All right.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Autosportradio.com 2018 show. I'm your host, Don Kay. We are live from McGilvery Speedway in the beautiful town of Speedway, Indiana, at 30th and High School. If you're in town for the Brickyard or for the airplane race, the Red Bull Air Race, you got to make McGilvery's a stop. They got great food, great service, and the adult beverages are ice cold. Tonight's show is presented as always by Honda HPD, the IMS, that's Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the Verizon IndyCar Series, and SVRA. A couple of things to mention. I'm sure most of you have heard, but if you hadn't, Scott Dixon has re-signed with Chip Ganassi Racing to a multi-year contract. Somehow I couldn't see him going anywhere, I don't think. I would have been surprised if he signed with McLaren, but he's back, and he will continue to drive for Chip Ganassi. The next IndyCar race is the ABC Supply 500 from the Pocono Tricky Triangle in Long Pond, Pennsylvania. Be sure to, if you can't watch or you're not there, go to racecontrol.indycar.com and you can watch online with Mark Janes and his trusty staff for practice and qualifying. And the race will be telecast live on NBC Sports Network on Sunday. For those of you who didn't attend, we attended Dave Brown's funeral service. It was nice and it was well attended. Sorry to see him go, obviously, great guy, and we're going to miss him. Next week, my two guests are the general manager for Ganassi Racing, Mike Hull, will be here, and Mike Lesmet, who is the principal of the Vintage Indy Registry, will also be here, and we're planning on bringing the Grand King stretch limo. So if you're interested in taking a tour and you want to see what kind of transportation you'll have, it will be here so you can check it out. And you can also take an eye at Bill Throckmorton to see if you really want to ride with him. But he's good. He can drive. While you're in Pocono, if you are going to be there, the night racing to be a part of the Pocono Vintage Celebration. They're going to run at night on the 5th mile oval on the main straightaway, and there'll be the smaller cars will be there. They're anticipating more than 300 cars, and they've got a lot of things out there to see and do, so make sure you take your time. And again, this year they're going to have modern TQ midgets in the racing program on Saturday night. They've got just a full package, so if you're out there, you're going to enjoy that, I can assure you. It's a big event. And if you aren't a member of the IndyCar Nation, you need to join. You have the opportunity to get all kinds of perks for being like wave the green flag for practice. You can take a ride in a two-seater. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do with it, so you need to join it. And just go to IndyCarNation.com, and in the promo box put Don K, that's DONKAY 15, and you get 15% off of a championship or legend membership. It's well worth it. And as I said, you want to take a ride in the limo. You get to go to race shops. You get to go to the museum. You can go in the Throckmorton Grand King race shop car. It holds 68 people. Call them up, make a reservation. Their office number is 317-820-3595, or Bill's cell rings most any time of the day or night, mostly at night, 317-371-0290. Okay, oops. My first guest is a gentleman who has been racing cars almost as long as I've been alive, minus 40 years. 41 years actually. He is one of the all-time greats in the USAC sprint car races, and just some of the things that he's accomplished in his career. He was a 2013 MSCS champion. He was a 2012 MSCS champion. He's a 6-time KISS champion. In 2006 and in 2010, he won the Indiana Sprint Week, 2-time Pocono Speedway champion, 2-time Valvoline Cup champion, 5-time Harf Driver of the Year. In 2011 was inducted into the Harf Hall of Fame. A 3-time winner of the Bob Darlin Memorial Race at Kokomo, 2007 Non-Wing 210 Dirt Driver of the Year, 2006 National Non-Wing 410 Driver of the Year, a 3-time Robbie Stanley Memorial winner. In 2002 and 2005, he won the Tony Hulman Classic. What more can you do in driving a race car? Please welcome Mr. John Stanborough. What got you into a race car to begin with? And 38 years later, I'm going to ask you, or 39.
Just one day, myself and my sister and mom and dad went to a quarter midget track, and I think a couple of weeks later, we both had quarter midgets. Here I am today.
Did your sister continue?
She ran a stock car at Lincoln Park for a while, and then she got married and had a couple kids, and she bought a drag car and did that for a few years, and now she's actually trying to sell the drag car, so I think she's just wanting to try to live a normal life now and get away from racing.
You know, how did you start? What were the first cars that you started? How did you work your way up to get to the USAC sprint cars?
We ran quarter midgets for several years, and then I think I ran a mini sprint for maybe half a season, and street stock, late models, whatever I could race. But once I turned 21, I just bought my own sprint car and just kind of took off from there. I think maybe 3 or 4 years after running, I got my first ride with the Law Brothers, won my first USAC race with them, and then, it just kind of went from there.
How many USAC features have you won, do you know?
I don't know. That guy right over there would be the guy to ask.
I meant to ask Dick that beforehand, and I forgot. And I was sitting talking to him, and I forgot when I was over there. I was so in awe that he's here, I just forgot to ask him.
Somewhere between 30 and 40, I think.
I see. Okay. How many? A bunch. Okay. That's official from the executive secretary of USAC. A bunch. That pretty well sums it up. Is there a track you like better than any others? Is there anything that suits your driving style?
I don't think so. When I first started running sprint cars, there was places that I didn't like, but I convinced myself that I was going to have to like every place if I wanted to race and be a sprint car driver. You got to like them all, and I guess I'd have to say Terre Haute is probably one of my favorites. Kokomo, those two.
Yeah, you did pretty well at Kokomo. Did you ever tangle with the kid? What's his name? Tony Elliott.
Yeah, Tony and I had a couple run-ins, and we didn't like each other very much. But when Tony retired, we kind of became friends, and kind of mended our fences, I guess, so to speak, and everything was good with us.
Well, that's good. Who was the most difficult guy that you raced? Who gave you the most trouble? Was the hardest to stay ahead of or get in front of?
Race-wise, I'd say, Darlin and I have had some pretty good battles, but he's really the guy I think of. I can't really think of anybody else. I'm sure there was some other guys out there, but
they haven't stuck around as long as you and Dave, probably.
Yeah, we always kind of joked around that him and I were the oldest two guys in the pits, so now he's on his own.
So I was told, and I mentioned it to you when I called you yesterday, that this is the second. In fact, when I went and looked you up on Google, it said you were going to retire in 16, then it said you were going to retire in 17. When I mentioned, you said, well, people misunderstood that. So explain what they misunderstood, and are you going to be in a car next week?
I've always told people the best way to find out the truth of anything is just ask me.
Which I did.
So I think things get turned around sometimes. What my wife and I owned our own team for the last 3 years, and we announced we're not going to be car owners anymore. I think that got turned into we're going to retire. And then we weren't selling T-shirts anymore this year. We're done doing that. And the only other thing I can think of is I said earlier in the year we won the Johnson Memorial at Perrigan, and I said, this is the last time I'm running Perrigan. I know that got turned into he's retiring, he's not racing anymore. So I guess that's how all of it got started, but I never officially said I was retiring until Sunday.
Will you stay involved in ownership? Or obviously you've sold your team, so that's not an issue at the moment. And you have a young'un in the house, which will take up some of your time that you used to spend in a race shop and working on cars.
I don't think I'll have any kind of ownership in a car. It's just too expensive to run. And without some kind of financial backing, there's no way I could do it. And then, I've got my fabrication business. I'm staying really busy there. And then I've got a 27-year-old daughter and a 9-month-old grandbaby and a 4-month-old baby. So I'm going to spend some time with them.
Obviously, you didn't race a lot this year, so you have a young one. You stayed home and had some entertainment.
Well, let me tell you that if you get a vasectomy or if the woman gets her tubes tied, there's no guarantees. So the last baby was a shocking surprise to us, but we can't get enough of her. She's a blessing.
Well, to have survived one of or both of those things and made it into this world, I would say you're right.
Yeah.
Amazing. Your 27-year-old, he or she race?
That would be my daughter, and no, she never raced, but she was involved in horses, showing in Western and English, and still does that a little bit, but never really wanted to race. Actually, I bought her a go-kart, and she drove it around a little bit out in the yard, and one evening my mom come over and she wanted to show her how she drives, and she proceeded to hold that thing wide open and turned it over on top of her, and that was the end of her go-kart driving. Whether she wanted to do it or not, I was done. And I asked her, I said, why did you do that? Why'd you hold the throttle wide open? And she said, I didn't. My boot got stuck in between the pedal and the steering linkage.
I don't know. I guess you bought it. It worked. There's something about motorsports, and I've been stuck by it. I've never driven. I work for teams, and I've been the guy cleaning and polishing and all that kind of stuff and hauling stuff out to the pit area. And I never sat in a car, but I pushed it. And the problem was if I sat in, I probably couldn't have gotten out of it, so I didn't want that embarrassment. But there's something about motorsports and the people in it. It's a clean sport, except for very minor things that I'm aware of in all the years. I've been around almost 60 years. It's something that gets in your blood, and you just can't get rid of it. I mean, I should have quit this 25 years ago, but I'm still here. And guys like you still come.
Yeah, well, it does. I mean, truthfully, I kind of was thinking 2 or 3 years ago I was ready to quit, but I didn't. I kept going, and I think I made the right decision, but I've enjoyed every minute of it. And like you said, there's so many things and people that you see and meet, and we've got to travel all over the country and see things and meet people that I probably never would have gotten to the chance to do any of that if I wasn't involved in racing.
There's something about the sport that it's just... So I trust I can say that if we go out and look for the 76th or 77th entrant in the dirt track race at the Speedway, your name won't be on the list.
It won't be, no. Maybe a vintage car I might drive around a little bit. but I'm not really interested in rubbing wheels anymore and driving into the corner hard. It's just something that, you've got a burning desire to do that, and that burning desire, that fire's gone out in me, and like I said earlier, I'm ready to spend time with all my family and both my daughters and granddaughters. We've got nieces and nephews. We got more kids running around than we can keep track of sometimes. So I'm ready to do that now.
Well, good for you. And to me, that's the secret. You got to know when it's time and then do it. Don't hem and haw. Do it, because sometimes, as you probably know, there's several ones that should have done what they said they were going to do and they didn't, and they paid the price for it. Did you spend a lot of sheet time?
You've probably the third or fourth guy that's asked me that, and I've been really fortunate. I had one broken bone the entire time I've ever raced, and it was real early in my career, and we had some bad crashes and turnovers and all of that, but I'm really fortunate. I walked away from all of them, and maybe a little sore the next day or something, but other than that, it was. And I attribute that to all the great safety equipment that I had and the new seats and all of that's out there. I think you're foolish if you don't run all of that.
Oh, no question. Can you imagine yourself driving a car before they had the roll cages and all that stuff on it, with your head sticking out?
I actually had a sprint car without a roll cage on it, and the day that I started that car that I got pushed off in it, I think I was more nervous then than when I did race. I felt like I was out in the middle of open with no protection, no arm guard, no roll cage, no anything. So I can't even imagine racing wheel to wheel with somebody without an arm guard and a roll cage. And not that helps you very much, but it certainly makes me feel more secure.
Yeah, that's. I'm looking at your wife, who is very involved with her phone there, but every time you mention quitting, she lights up like a Christmas tree.
Well, she loves racing as much as I do, and we've talked about it. I don't know, probably the last year or 2 years, and she said, "When you're ready to do it, I'll stand behind you, whatever you want to do."
Do you think you'll attend races? You go and sit in the crowd or sit around?
I don't know.
Area?
I've never been a very good spectator, but that's because I wanted to race. So if our car broke or whatever the circumstances might have been, when it was broke, load it in the trailer, let's go home. But now that I'm not doing it, I may be a better spectator, but I don't know that I'm going to go every single weekend, but I'm sure that we'll be at some races.
It's kind of hard to get away from that for some reason, and I don't know what it is, but man, it's tough. The car counts at USAC appear to have been climbing of late. In your mind, do you think USAC is heading in the right direction? Because it appears when I don't go to the races that often anymore, but I see the reports, and the car counts seem to be going up and holding pretty steady at the moment anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't run a USAC race since last year, and kind of lost what was going on with what they're doing now. But like you said, I have seen the car counts going up, and I know for a while it seemed like the expense is a factor, and maybe people are just able to pick up sponsors now. I know the business for me has been better than it has been in a long time, and I know a lot of other people it's been good. So maybe people are spending more money on racing now, and that's what's got the car counts up.
And banging into each other, so you get to keep busy.
Yeah, that's true. Got to build parts.
Where is your shop located?
It's in Brownsburg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where?
And been there. I'm right off of Main Street,
Okay.
and been there, I think, 12 years now. That's the third location I've had, and I hope it's the last.
And you keep yourself busy 5-6 days a week?
7.
7 days a week.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No wonder you got to quit
Yeah.
driving. It's I don't know. There's just something about guys in sprint cars. But you were always a non-wing. Did you drive wings at all? Did you ever run Outlaws?
I ran. I know I can remember running one outlaw show, and that was when I owned my own car, and didn't make the show, but we tried, and then I think for 2 or 3 years I ran just non-wing, and then when I got my first ride with the Law Brothers, that's all they ran.
Wow.
And so we ran maybe half a season, a full season, just wing racing, and that was before the wing racing kind of died out here in Indiana. But there was some non-wing racing, and I kept asking them to go, run a non-wing show, and we finally went to Putnamville and won that first night, and so then they were pretty hooked on non-wing racing again.
Well, that's a good way to make your point. Let's go out, try it, and you win, and say, "Woo, all right." When you, as of last Sunday, when you got in the car, were you anxious? Did it feel good, or you said, might be it?
The car felt good. Everything was good. It was definitely hard for me to go around that racetrack knowing it was the last time. But I'd made up my mind. I wasn't going to change my mind. I wasn't going to go back on my word. And so, yeah, it was good. And the car was actually really good at the beginning, but just got a little too free at the end and ended up 7th. I would have liked to have finished better, but we finished and didn't tear it up. And like I said, we walked out of there.
Yeah, but to think you lost some work. You didn't wreck the car. Didn't bend the car.
Well, I don't want to work on my own if I crash it, and I don't want to work on theirs if I crash it. So I don't get paid for that.
Oh, okay. So what's next? Just go to work 7 days a week and go home and chase kids around? Change diapers now.
Yeah. Well,
boy. Are you good? Is he good at that? Oh, yeah. Oh.
Yeah. I'm gonna keep my fab business, and it's doing good now. And I've got 3 sprint cars in there that I'm restoring, and I've got an older Corvette that I'm restoring. So, and I still have my very first sprint car and my last quarter midget, and I've got all kinds of projects to keep me busy. So if I run out of work in the fab shop, I've got plenty to keep me busy. And like you said, all the kids, and it's it's endless of what I can find to do.
What's more difficult, driving a race car or chasing your kids and grandkids around?
The race car was more difficult right at the moment, but the grandkids, or the granddaughter, she's getting to where she's crawling pretty fast, and everything she sees, she wants to touch it.
Of course.
And I'm sure she's gonna get a little faster and get up on 2 legs and start walking, and then shortly after that, then my daughter will. So I'm sure we'll have our hands full trying to take care of 2 kids there and keep them from getting into everything and hurting themselves.
Have you got all your trophies up out of the way so she can't get a hold of them?
No, probably not.
I see.
Probably need to move some of that stuff.
What do you consider, in your mind, the highlight of your career? What did you accomplish? You said, that's what I wanted.
I really didn't. When I first started racing the sprint car, I wanted to race a sprint car. So I got it, and then, and then I thought, well, I want to win a race. So I won a race, and then I was like, well, I want to win 10. So we won 10, and then I was like, I want to win a USAC feature. We won one, and then we won several USAC features. And once I did that, I really never set any goals other than I just wanted to win. I never really chased any championships. The ones that we won, it was just because we were there and we raced and we did good. But a couple years, I don't remember the years that we did chase the USAC championship, and I'm just not a very good guy to chase those championships, because if we're only running 3rd place and you want to stay in 3rd place to get the points, I just never was very good at that. I wanted to try to win every night, which I know if you win, you're going to win your championships. But then again, if you take those chances, and you could have ran 3rd and you take a chance to win and you crash yourself out, then you're going to lose that championship. So I just never was very good at chasing them.
Well, you won in 2006 and 2010 the Indiana Sprint Week. That's pretty good accomplishment.
Yeah, it is.
There's guys that
And-
have chased that and haven't won it yet, and they've been trying 15 times or however many it's run.
Yeah, well, like I said, well, I thought, well, that'll be good if we win it. But again, I was there to win the race, and I didn't really think about like I said, if I was running third, I didn't think about just sitting there and getting my points so I could win that championship. I wanted to win.
Well, if you're taking the chance of strapping yourself in the car, you can get hurt on your winning or finishing seventh, so it doesn't matter. So you might as well go for the front, and you get the wins.
Yeah, you're right.
What have you been running this year? You're running is it iPower? What series have you been running?
We haven't chased any series. We've mainly just run some local shows.
Oh, yeah.
And the only series that I can think of that we ran just a few races was MSCS.
Yeah.
The guys that own my team, Jimmy and Mike Wingo, both work on NHRA drag teams, so it worked out good because I didn't want to run a full schedule, and they're off drag racing, and when they came into town we could race, and so it was just a good match for both of us.
Well, I got to say, you have nothing to hide your head and say, I didn't accomplish it. As you said, you always went, whenever I saw you drive, you're always heading for the front. That's where you saw yourself going. And I think I saw you win one race or two. I can't remember. When you get old, you can't remember a lot. I can't remember this morning. 10 years ago, maybe. But I've always enjoyed watching your race. I thought you always put on a good show, and you showed the fans that were there to cheer and yell and scream. You were there to win, period. And if you're not in a car to win, what the hell's the sense of going? Come up and sit with me.
Yeah.
I couldn't win if I had to. I used to run go-karts when Gary Lee owned Whiteland. He'd give me a lap start, and in 3 laps he caught me. That's how good I was. I was really terrible. So my hat is off to you. That your accomplishments are unbelievable. Great job. Always enjoyed watching you, and I appreciate you taking the time. What's that?
He ranked 9th all time with 35 USAC.
In case you didn't hear from the Peanut Gallery, he's 9th all time with USAC sprint car wins with 35. That's not bad.
Pretty good. There's a lot of great names, I'm sure, on that sprint car list. So I feel blessed that I'm 9th on the list.
Yeah, and you retire and you're walking. You're not limping. We don't have you in a wheelchair. You walk away.
Yeah, I've said that several times here
I'm
in
sure
the last
you
few
have.
days.
I'm sure you have.
People have asked me, and I say, yeah, I'm walking, talking, and I can still think pretty clearly. So,
Your wife laughed at that one too, by the way.
yeah, well, I don't always think as clear as she wants me to, but I can still stand up and walk, I guess.
Well, I congratulate you on a long and very successful career. Always enjoyed watching you. Who knows? Maybe one of these days when you become a vintage guy, we'll call you back.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And one of these days, maybe I will be a vintage guy. I don't know.
Well, you never know. Well, what I think you got to get involved with the SVRE when they come, because they got a lot of vintage cars you could drive. I think they run sprints and midgets and stuff here now. So
Yeah,
might
like
fit
I
right in.
said, I still have my first sprint car, so it'd
There
probably
you go.
qualify as a
There you
vintage
go.
car.
Yeah. What year was that?
It's a '85 Gambler.
Really? Gambler. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, well, okay. Well, thanks for your time. Congratulations on a great career, and we appreciate you taking the time to come by here, because I know your young'un is out in a car in a parking lot playing with the radio buttons.
Yeah, she probably is. But yeah, I appreciate you having me, and it's been a pleasure every time I've ever come up here and talked with you, and just feel blessed that I got to do what I wanted to do.
Well, how many people have said if your job is you dread going, it's a job. But if you like going, and you liked what you did, so it wasn't work.
Yeah,
It was
it's
fun.
if you love what you do, you'll never have a job.
Right.
I've never had a job.
Good. Well, that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
And she smiled at that one too.
Yeah.
She said, yeah, he does have a job changing diapers.
Yep. Yep. Thank you.
Thanks for your time. John Stanborough. My next guest will be coming up here on his way momentarily. I want to remind you that this program is also brought to you by Sam Pierce Chevrolet in Daleville. You got to find out the best prices on cars that are in the country, and that's in Daleville. And you'll find out why when you deal with Sam Pierce Chevrolet, why he's at or top always of customer satisfaction. Just take I-69 north to exit 234 and go east 1 mile, and you'll find him. Are you interested in seeing what IndyCar drivers like about their car? Why not take a ride in a two-seater? You can go to IndyRacingExperience.com and find a date you like and sign up for it. And in the promo box, put JS1 and you get a 50% discount. Or you can call the office at 317-243-7171. Talk to Shonda, sign yourself up, and tell her you're SJ1 and you get the discount. If you need anything stitched, you got to go to Stitches 2 in Gasoline Alley. They'll do anything. If you can drag it, pull it, push it, throw it, or mail it, they can take care of it. Call Fran. Their number is 317-271-3444. The next event for the SVRA will be at Watkins Glen on September 6th to the 9th. So if you're on the East Coast anywhere, you want to see the great cars you knew as a kid, a lot of them are there. So go on out and check it out. It's a fabulous show, and you will enjoy it. And if you are, in fact, a vintage car fan, I highly recommend that you go to svra.com and subscribe to the Vintage Racing Quarterly. It's a great magazine, a lot of super stories, and you will enjoy it. svra.com, and it's a Vintage Racing Quarterly. Get it. And as you have heard me talk about, racing legend Bill Simpson is going to host the IMS Museum Kiss the Bricks tours for charity. And it's a great thing. He'll drive the bus, and I can guarantee he can tell some stories. And the money raised from that is going to help the Southside Animal Shelter, and he's a big outside guy. So if you get a chance, call up, make a reservation, or you'll be left out. He'll be there August 30th. So if you want to take a ride with Bill Simpson on the bus, get out and kiss the bricks, get with him, because I'm sure he can tell some great stories. He always has anyway. Is it time for new insurance for your home, your car, your commercial property? Do what I've done. Call VP Insurance in Speedway. Mike Pardee will take care of you and give you what you need, and you'll find you get better coverage for less money. That's VP Insurance at 5004 West 16th Street in Speedway. Call them. Number is 317-248-0070. My next guest is a guy that has kind of taken the Silver Crown world by storm. He just completed his 5th consecutive win in the Silver Crown Series. He took the lead in all-time wins over Jack Hewitt with 25. And some amazing statistics. He accomplished this in 89 races. Jack Hewitt took 163. Dave Steele, I think, who was 3rd all-time, had 111. And Dave Darlin is at the all-time leader and starts at 198. Geez, he's been around a lot. He's an old guy. This young man has second in number of laps led. Dave Steele had 1,901, and Cody has 1,744, and J.J. Yaley is 3rd with 1,606. He's second. He leads in most laps races led with 37. He's the first time to win 4 in a row, and he's way ahead of it. His first to win 5 straight, which has never been done. Fast qualifier 24 times. Second behind him is Sills at 21. This guy's a phenomenal driver, and I'm pleased to have him here. Please welcome the one, the only Cody Swanson. You know, for a guy 19, you've accomplished a lot. You don't look over 19, I just assume.
I don't know. It'd be nice to be 19, you know, from racing standpoint. But I'm 30 years old this year, and
oh my God,
been
that old?
That old. Been married to my wife Jordan for 7 years. Have a little boy Trevor who's 2.5, and another one on the way. So at that point, 30's not so bad.
Really? He has time to do that? Now you have a job.
I
You
do.
work.
I do.
I know your wife said she's tired of mustard sandwiches, so you had to get a job so you could step it up or go to White Castle or something.
Yeah, I work at Alton Witzig Engineering here in Indianapolis. Started there in 2013, just part time. My wife Jordan was working there, and pretty soon we were both able to work there. And what great people we met there that are race fans and had been to Thursday Night Thunder at Raceway Park, back in the day there, and were willing to support us, let me work part-time, flex hours, and just kind of keep the racing dream alive. So it's been neat to be a part of that with them and still be racing.
I trust that you will be heading to the next stop, which I believe is DuQuoin?
Springfield.
Springfield. You'll be heading there.
Yep, we run Springfield on Saturday for the Bettenhausen 100.
How many times have you won that?
Twice.
Is that all?
Twice that, and last year run second to Justin Grant, won his first Silver Crown race, and gave it all we were worth to try to run him down, but he did a great job and didn't make a mistake, no matter how bad I was wishing for one, and got his first win. He's a friend of mine, so I was glad to see it happen for him, but bummed it wasn't us that day.
If I remember right, you've been here once or twice, I think, and you said your family is on the West Coast and farming.
That's right.
And I had commented at the time when I was a kid we could run between the rows and all that. You can't do that anymore. If they figured out how to grow corn inches apart, now which they didn't. Again, when I was a kid, you could run through it. It was fun.
Yeah, I think it was on 30-inch rows. Oh, you hear me a little better now?
Yeah.
I think I haven't paid a whole lot of attention since I moved to the Midwest. How they were planting the corn at home, but I think it was on 30-inch rows where if you wanted to bad enough, you could fit between.
I couldn't fit between now, guarantee you. What the heck are they laughing at? That's not funny. It's very serious. Yeah, he couldn't fit either, I'll guarantee you, and he'd fall down if he tried. You have a brother, and you two guys used to do battle. Did you scare him and he left? He said, I can't take it?
No, he, I think he moved to the Midwest with me here and would stay through the summers, at least through 2012. And at the end of that year, we'd both been driving for Team 6R Racing, longtime Silver Crown team owners. And at that point, they kind of closed down and kind of revamped what they were doing, and Tanner and I were both looking for rides. And at that time, he graduated college and had an opportunity to start an internship, with Golden State Farm Credit there in California, in our hometown, and took the opportunity with the internship and just kind of shifted his priorities on what he was going to do with a career. And he still races. Is probably still the best there is. On pavement, so it's hard for me to say I'm any good because I don't think I'm even the best in my family some days, but he comes out and runs the Silver Crown Series occasionally. He come out this May for the Carb Night Classic, and this year we got to honor it in memory of Dave Steele. And my kid brother hasn't raced Silver Crown cars but once every 10 months, and puts the thing on the pole. Took the Dave Steele challenge and went to the tail. And went 22nd to second and was giving me all I could handle. And luckily for me, I think he started to sputter low on fuel, which I hated for my brother, but at the same time greatly helped me out there at the end of that one. So he's someone that always does a great job whenever he gets to race, and someone I'm proud to be his brother.
Do you race strictly Silver Crown, or do you run sprint cars as well?
I really run a little bit of everything. Silver Crown is the only series that I run full time or for the championship with, and then I really say each year I make it my primary focus. So when I fill in with sprint car races, I try to do it strategically. So if we're coming up on a pavement Silver Crown race, try to find a pavement sprint car race somewhere to get the rust knocked off that skill set and run dirt sprint cars. Something I struggle with and have been struggling this year in Indiana, but still battle through it to try to help me be better at Silver Crown, and run a little bit with the wing on dirt and on pavement, and a little bit of whatever anyone will let me.
Is there any chance that you will get in a midget and run over here at turn 3 in a midget?
I don't think. I haven't run midgets all that often, and occasionally I do at the Chili Bowl, and most of the time I think I shouldn't be doing that by the time I'm making that drive home from Tulsa, and it seems like I must have some sort of memory problem because 11 months later it seems like we're driving back, So at this point, I don't have any plans to run there. I know we're running back at Lucas Oil Raceway with the Silver Crown Series on that Saturday night, and so look forward to going out and seeing it. And I think it's really neat that the Speedway is trying to support short track racing and the attention that they're getting with it, and I hope it really works out well. But at this point in time, don't have any plans to drive in it.
All right, so you're going to rest up for Saturday.
A little bit, I think there's a lot going on, that weekend and the following week too. So looking forward to, like I said, just keeping Silver Crown as my focus and trying to, accomplish those goals. I think for this year, the team I'm driving for, De Palma Motorsports, is going for their 5th consecutive owners title, and that's never been done before. And as much as it's neat to drive and compete in the series, as an individual, something that I think I take maybe a little pride in is trying to do the best job I can for the team I'm driving for and for the owners that put me in the seat. And so that's something I really want to be able to see through for them, and hope we give it our best shot, and hope it'll work out for them.
I trust you're leading in the driver's points.
For now, we are. Yep.
What do you mean for now?
Well, I mean, you never know.
Well, who's behind you 100 points?
I think next Justin Grant is running second, and Chris Wyndham is running third. And Chris Wyndham won the drivers' championship 2 years ago, and Justin has been doing a great job with the Silver Crown cars. Like we just talked about, he's the defending winner there at Springfield, and he won her this year at Terre Haute. So you never can count anybody out, and just hope we can do the best we can to finish out the season.
Is there a track you like better than any others that suits your driving style? Is there any one track you like, be it pavement or dirt?
You kind of end up finding your favorites a little bit. The dirt mile here at Indianapolis, the State Fairgrounds, has been one that was the first dirt mile that really clicked for me, I felt like, and it's been something this year we're really fortunate to celebrate our 4th straight Hoosier 100. And Ty Allenser Sr. doing that, and it's a quirky racetrack compared to maybe Springfield or DuQuoin. It's a little narrower down the straightaways, a little bit tighter. The surface is a little different, and it's just something that has seemed to fit me pretty well. And anytime you're driving a dirt Silver Crown car that Bob Hampshire is wrenching on, you can't really complain. So that's been a lot of fun to race there every year, and I was pavement guy by trade, I guess, by the time I moved to the Midwest. And so I love the pavement Silver Crown cars wherever we get to go. A place that I did not really used to be a fan of were the banks, whether it was Winchester or Salem. But the last couple of years with the Silver Crown cars, I've learned to love them, and really have started to like Salem.
It's interesting that I've talked to some of the biggest names that have run Winchester, and they said that place scared the hell out of me. And I was there the day that Sarah Fisher ran her midgets. She broke the record that was held by somebody. It didn't last long, but I said, does this place scare? No, not particularly. But a lot of the guys, JP, I can think of off the bat, he said, boy, that place scared me.
Yeah, and I'd say I was in that boat, and still probably am. I mean, those two places, you walk in, and as you cross the racetrack and look each direction and see the height of the bank and know what you're gonna have to do to be in contention to win. It puts a rock in your stomach and a chill down your spine a little bit at the same time. So it was something that maybe if I was known for anything, maybe it was being smooth and consistent. And those places, usually it seemed like the bravest guy won, and or like say Sarah, the bravest gal, or whoever was driving, and that maybe wasn't something that I was going to be picked for, but it's been really neat over the last couple of years to to run there a little more consistently. You know, I would only run once every 3 or 4 years, it seemed like, when the schedule lined up. But the last 3 years in a row, we've gone with the Silver Crown cars to Salem, and a little bit longer races get you a little bit more laps each time that you're there, and slowly you build that comfort with it, and just get I don't know if comfort's the wrong word, because I don't know that you really ever feel comfortable there, but maybe you build a tolerance for it, and if you run well, I mean, I guess you're going to learn to love it.
Well, according to what I was told by somebody who was present, and I understand they had a pretty decent crowd there actually, that you drove a hell of a race. And you had a little competition chasing you around, but once you got hooked up, you were gone.
Thank you. I mean, it means a lot, you know, and like I said, I mean, Salem is such an intimidating place to go, and I've been fortunate to be driving with a great race team and people that have really worked hard to not only help us have a good race car there, but they know that part of being successful there is trying to help me feel more comfortable, or as well as you can. And we were really fortunate that on Saturday night we had a great race car, and were able to outlast some really fast guys at the beginning. And it just seemed like the longer the race went on, the better we got. And as cars and tires and people started to fade, ours stayed under me, and we were just able to keep clicking off laps. And pretty soon we were catching lap traffic pretty quickly, and able to really finish it off. And it was really neat night for us.
5 in a row.
5 in a row.
Your next shot, make it 6. Can you handle it? You know, it's interesting. The car count was decent at Salem, and seems to me that the Silver Crown has been gaining. And I understand there's 40 cars are going to be at 46. I missed it by 6. So they are blowing the dust off and bringing some cars out. Obviously, they like to run dirt, I guess, better than pavement. Do you have a preference? Do you care?
You know, I laugh because or kind of chuckle to myself because I had told my wife and in a lot of these interviews, right? I mean, in Indiana, you got to be a dirt guy, and it just to have any sort of acceptance, right? And so I'd always try to give the answer that I learned to love both, but I'm a pavement guy. I really do like pavement, and I don't know why. It just seems like recently this year I've kind of solidified that, man, maybe I should have been a pavement guy. And I'll tell you the funny story why is because during Indiana Sprint Week, you want to talk about a humbling experience. Try to race Indiana Sprint Week against USAC and the nation's best, and I think you make 2 out of 6 shows and get your teeth kicked in every night, and all of a sudden you think, man, I got a long ways to go. And as you're thinking about, man, I don't even know what I was missing or how to even do it. You look, and Bobby Santos won at New Hampshire with the Whelen Modifieds, and then he won somewhere else in a sprint car, and thought, maybe I should have just stayed a pavement guy, And but at the same time, I do appreciate the dirt and like the fact and thankful for the fact I've been able to run it for some great teams. I really do like the dirt miles with Silver Crown. And have been able to win a few dirt sprint car races. Nothing. I like the legendary career of John Stambro. It was neat. It's always great to come visit with you here, but it was really special to get to listen to John talk tonight. One of the first times I came to the Midwest, as you're trying to learn tracks and see new places. I remember that summer of 2008 touring around Indiana, watching sprint cars and trying to see what you could learn, and it seemed like John Stambro won every night. So that was really neat for me to get to listen and share in that with you tonight.
Some young lady, I'm not sure, from the Peanut Gallery someplace, said ask him about his Memorial Day weekend, which included winning the Little 500 at Anderson for Gene Nolan. How many times have you driven for Nolan?
That was my second Little 500 start for Gene Nolan.
Yeah.
And it was really neat to Gene is someone I've had to race against with the Silver Crown Series, so he's been a longtime competitor and someone you're gonna have to contend with him and his cars, his team. So it was neat to get to run the Little 500 for him and to be able to win it for him. It was his in all the years of trying, his first Little 500 victory, really? Which was really special to be a part of. And that was if the question is about Memorial Day weekend, that one this year is the best weekend of my career and probably will be. We started on. Thank you. Well, I was going to say on Thursday night we won the Hoosier 100, and Friday night outlasted my brother at Lucas Oil Raceway to go back to back with the Silver Crown Series, and then capped off our third in a row with a little 500 there.
Boy. All I can tell you is, whatever you did, it got Howdy's attention. He applauded. I thought he was dozing off there for a minute, but he's still awake. It's amazing. And, of course, our girl is sitting across from him. She probably kicked him to wake him up. Or what? Oh, really? Really? 17th anniversary of your 21st birthday? Happy birthday. If you don't know Shirley, as you go out, ignore Howdy. Say hello to her. I try and say ignore Howdy, and he kicks me usually. Anyway, how did you get started racing? How did you and your brother start? I mean, your dad's a farmer. He obviously, unless you ran on the farm and got started. What started you in racing?
I grew up watching my dad race. Not only was he a farmer, but he raced in I think is one of the best on the West Coast for a time. Still is my racing hero. So I grew up watching him, and at that point in time, he ran in what was USAC's Super Modified Series out on the West Coast, and had some success in that. Won races, didn't win a championship under the USAC banner, but did when it was SMRA, I think in 1992. Won in, I think, about every kind of car he drove, whether it was limited Super Modifieds, pavement late models, Grand American Modifieds on the pavement. And had a great career that my brother and I were fortunate to watch a lot of, mostly from the grandstands, because California has insurance rules where you can't get in the pits till you're 16. But it was really neat to get involved with racing, not only watching him, and then as we got started ourselves.
So when you started, your mother said, no, you guys go out and farm or go get a college degree.
Yeah, I mean, we had rules. There's no doubt. I don't know if they tried to put enough hoops out that maybe Tanner and I wouldn't make it through all of them, so they wouldn't just have to say no with an iron fist. But when we had the chance to get started, it was actually on dirt in smaller than micro sprints or junior sprints, a little 100 cc. Something for kids to run, and I think I was 12 and Tanner was 8 or 9, and they wanted us to be committed. My dad said this wasn't going to be his hobby. It wasn't. We knew kids that raced quarter midgets, and their parents were involved in. The kids, would play, and then they'd just come hop in the car when it was time to race. And he established that wasn't going to be how it was for us. That he wasn't gonna work on them unless we were there working on them with him. And he would match our effort to do it. And but before we ever got started, he wanted to know it wasn't going to fade. So we went for a full year and helped other kids race in the pits and kind of crewed for it. And before he'd get us one, and we were fortunate to get one, and we kind of split some time in it at the beginning. Those were Dad's rules, and Mom's, on the other hand, was you had to get straight A's in school. So if you wanted it, you were going to have to want it bad enough to do it. And anyway, we must have made it because we kept racing. That's
really something, and I think that's a good move. If you want to do this, here's what I want you to do. It's because it doesn't last forever, and you got an education. You've always got something to fall back on. That's great. I was sitting here thinking, I didn't want to say anything about if your wife was pregnant. I'm thinking to myself, she and I have something in common, but hers is a different reason. She looks much better than I do with it. Yes, I'm sure. Little rush. Never stops. Is there anything that you have in your mind that you'd like to accomplish? Would you have liked to have gotten the opportunity to run at Speedway or get into the Road to Indy program?
Yeah, I mean,
has anybody asked you if you were interested? Have you been approached?
I think that I was approached, and my brother and I both were probably, I don't know, maybe 2011 when we really had gotten started going and kind of first come on the scene, and there was some big push for the Road to Indy at that point in time, and it all came, every conversation seemed to end with what the financial requirement would be. And, at that point, and, I was fortunate to be able to race in Silver Crown and be hired to do it where I could make a little money doing it. And, I didn't have any sponsors or don't. And, I just kind of moved here and lived in people's basements and spare bedrooms on an air mattress for a couple summers to try to get my feet, in the ground. And I didn't have the ability to be able to put anything like that together. And things had really kind of died down for a while. And I tried to... I guess I tried my best to ignore what I wanted or what my dreams were, because I caught myself at 24 or so, thinking, seeing other guys get opportunities, and they weren't necessarily going to IndyCar, but they were going down south, which I'm not picky. I'd have loved the opportunity to do either, and but at the time, where you get jealous or you're thinking about that and you're not enjoying what you're doing anymore, and realize that. I had such a neat opportunity to be racing the United States Auto Club here in the Midwest, and in the Silver Crown Series, sprint cars of midgets, and that was something I didn't want to take for granted. And so, I didn't want to be so distracted by wishing to go somewhere else that I wasn't enjoying what I was doing, and so really buckled down to enjoy USAC and the opportunity I had, and was fortunate to really kind of regain some success with that, and maybe in the last year, there's been, I've been really thankful. There's been a lot of fans that have said stuff either on social media, which I'm terrible at, but
welcome to the club.
I just doesn't. It's just not something I'm good at. Is posting a lot or enough or whatever. But there have been people that have kind of stuck up for me a little bit, saying it'd be neat if I got a shot. And after that Memorial Day weekend, Robin Miller gave me a call on Wednesday while I was at work, and we got to talk racing for a little bit, and he put out a nice article that said that which I have, and I still haven't given up hope yet, and it's been neat. There's been a couple conversations I've had with people that it'd still be a long shot at best, but at least the conversation didn't end with with me having to admit I didn't have any big time sponsors. So. You never know, but haven't given up hope yet, but at the same time making sure to enjoy what the opportunities I do have.
Well, you've convinced me. And I have to tell you, there's a guy I talked to yesterday who has missed only 2 Silver Crown races in the entire history of the series. And he said, you can take this to the bank, but I didn't see any money, so I don't know what I was going to the bank for. He said, you can take this to the bank that Cody Swanson is one of the best drivers I've ever seen in the series. And I think that says a lot. And I have to tend to agree. Isn't that clever of me that I agreed with what somebody who's only missed 2 of the races? And to think of it, Dave Darland's run has entered 198, so can you imagine how many times this guy's been to the show? It's amazing that certain people have talents, and you think, what is a talent to drive a race car? It's a lot more than you think, and it requires a lot more. You got to understand what the car does and be able to feel it. So when you come in and your crew says, "What's the matter?" you got to be able to tell them. You come in and say, "I don't know." That's not a lot of help. So obviously, you work well with crews. Have you driven for this same team for a while now, or are you change off and on?
Yeah, I've driven for a little bit of everybody, in sprint cars and such on my way through. But in the Silver Crown Series, I've been fortunate the last 5 seasons now have been all for the De Palma Motorsports team, which it's kind of funny story how we got started. I told you that Tanner moved home and started doing his internship and working for Golden State, and about that time I doubled down and Jordan and I drove back from California to the Midwest without a plan or a ride or anything, and just kept calling all the way. And I think we were driving somewhere through Texas and got a chance to talk to Tony De Palma on the phone, and they had a dirt program set up, but they were quitting the pavement because they had been struggling and were just had enough. And I tried to talk them into at least meeting with me. Maybe we could drag it out of the barn and give it a second chance. I wanted to be a pavement guy and all. And we drove straight through dropped a trailer off at somebody else's house and drove to Lima, Ohio, and met with Tony and Bob Hampshire and talked him into dragging this pavement car out, and promised him I'd win him a race in three chances. That's what they were going to give me, and didn't do it, but I sat on the pole twice and run second twice, and come within just a few feet of winning one at Gateway, and that at least bought me an extension, maybe. And the following year, we got hooked up to run full time in 2014, and it's been neat to be a part of that team, ever since. Just because there are so many neat things that that a team goes through and works together, and so fortunate that what a really neat team we've got. That everybody wants it, wants to win, and that's the primary motivation, and the reason that that everybody puts in the extra effort to whether it's an extra hour at night in the shop or working on a Sunday or things like that. Everyone's all in, and including my wife Jordan and I. We'll drive. It's 220 miles to the race shop in Ohio, but Bob's got a little apartment in the shop, and he'll put us up in it and let us stay a few days and work on it together. And so it's been really I tried to say I don't think it's fair that I get credit because it's a team effort and something special to be a part of.
And Mr. Nolan doesn't like to hire slugs, and to drive for a team like that. You don't drive for them all the time, but for them to be able to give you a car you can win with, and then you win, that's amazing. And I think the De Palma team, it's a lot easier to spend extra time working on a car when you know the guy behind the wheel can win if you give it to him. So that makes it a lot easier too. So congratulations to you on.
Well, thank you.
I don't know. I'd like to see you at the Speedway in the Freedom 100, or maybe down in, I don't know, I guess they're running Gateway. They're running lights, I believe are running Gateway. See you down there in a lights car. There's only 9 of them, so somebody's got one to make it 10. Good grief. Well, I'll tell you what, it's amazing and really exciting to be able to talk to you and what you've accomplished in a relatively short period of time and a number of races that you've run and won, and run 5 in a row. That's never been done. Next weekend in dirt this weekend in dirt could be it again. Could be 6.
We're going to give it our best shot. I
bet you will.
And talk about the commitment of the guys in the team. Saturday night they drove the rig home from Salem, and Sunday morning, our family got up and went to church, and after that was over, I hauled over to Ohio, and they had it unloaded before I got there and started working on. I helped mount. I'm the tire guy, so I mounted and dismounted the pavement tires and got ready because we got Raceway Park in a couple weeks, and started to get everything ready for Salem, and left last night. Had the dirt car pretty well on the ground, and Bob was giving it his eagle eye, looking it over. So you never know what which win or which race might be your last, but I know that everyone's putting their best foot forward to giving it our best shot there at Springfield on Saturday.
Well, I know you don't spend a lot of time because I could see the result of you being around the house on occasion. So obviously you take care of your homework.
I'm not really sure where you're going with that, or where I'm supposed to go with that, or
nowhere. I just thought I'd mention it. Well, I'll tell you what. I have to say that I agree with the observation that of all the events that have been run in the Silver Crown Series, you rate as one of the best that's ever run it, and I have to take my hat off to the guy who's seen that many races and would know. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And who knows? But maybe when your third one is on the way, I'll invite you back again. Well, we will call you again, I can assure you. But good luck this weekend and the rest of the season, and look forward to seeing you at the USAC banquet, getting the award as a champion again for the Silver Crown Series.
Thank you. Thanks again for having me on the show. Appreciate everybody that came out tonight for putting up with me. And anyway, thanks for having me.
I was kind of pleased. I talked to a young man who was down in Salem. I call him a young man, so he'll talk to me. And he had a vintage car there, the Voglercraft, which attracted a lot of attention. God knows why. But he said he was surprised at the number of people that came by and said, oh yeah, we watch Autosport, so we know what you're up to and what you're doing and where you're going, which I was very pleased to hear. That there are people, in fact, you know, Mike Lashmet is watching tonight because he wanted to see the interview with you. So he's tuned in. And Fluffy says, yes, so you know I'm right there. If she doesn't say yes, I'm in trouble, I can assure you. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for bringing your wife and your second child along. That's two of you show up and there's really three. That's pretty neat. Nice shot. Congratulations.
Thank you.
As we said, he's one of the very best. We're always happy to have Cody Swanson. Thanks for being here. Next week, as I said, speaking of Mike Lashmet, the promoter, the head guy with the Vintage Indy Registry will be here. The Grand King Limo will be here, so if you're thinking about coming into town and wanting to take a tour, they will take care of you, I can assure you. And Mike Hull will be the general manager of Ganassi Racing. He's always interesting and never hesitates to answer when I ask him some silly question. So we'll look forward to seeing you next week. For now, this is it. We'll see you here next week. Thanks for watching, listening, and for being here. Don Kay saying good night. And I want to remind you, for those of you here, if you have trouble with your computer, which I did again, you got to go see Jack at Computer Overdrive. Give him a call. Tell him your problem. 317-328-0766. Good night. Thanks, Dick. Uh-oh, he's mad at me. He didn't wave. If you want to get some information on the upcoming museum Brickyard tour, Kiss the Brick tour, got a couple of brochures up